this heir to all the good there is simply because of who I am. But it was about the heir. The key to being an heir to a kingdom, or from a kingdom is what we believe, is that you must, if someone gave an inheritance, let's say somebody had an inheritance for Patrick, I would have to do what? Claim it. That's what we're really talking about. It's infinite, it's just exactly what you're saying, but we have to get to a point. And then it came down when I was in discussion that said, I believe that, but I don't know if I deserve that.
That's the key.
And that's what made me think of that. I don't know if I deserve the inheritance. And we've all been there. It's like somebody you'll get an inheritance and you'll think, well, I didn't work for it, or it just kind of like was handed to me. And I've had people, and I'm not making it up, people do feel that, oh my God, I got this inheritance and I really didn't earn it. And all of the stuff that we're taught, instead of just saying, we were given the inheritance of everything, infinite. So beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Jamie.
Awesome. All right. So
All right.
Patrick, go ahead. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of comparing.
We have a lovely
quotes.
little
Yeah.
project tonight
These
for
quotes
us. So
come from your readings.
Okay, so Ernest, for while we can and should develop an outer personality back of this, there is something you and I never thought up. We did not plan it. We did not create it. Finding this something is like exploring new land. There are heights and depths to our own being which we have not plumbed. I wanted to go plummeted, not plummeted. We haven't plummeted it. But this tells me right out of the gate that there is so much more that we haven't even begun. We're just tasting, right? We're kind of at the poo-poo platter, we're of this thing called life. And at the core of it is this great feast. And then Joe tells us on page 102, most of us embrace the traditional notion of ourselves as a somebody. But who we really are has nothing to do with the big three. Who we are is a consciousness connected to a quantum field of intelligence that we are at all times. This is what we are. So the reason that we always put them together is because Dr. Holmes and Dr. Dispenza are actually saying the same thing, and yet here's the thing about this. I just keep going back to Ernest Holmes because he's really, for some reason, this one resonated even more than Dr. Joe this week. But we are this thing already. There's nothing to get. We are it. That's why the spoon, the little in the Matrix was going. He goes, I can't. He goes, I can't do that because you're trying to do it, and the spoon wouldn't bend until you became it. So whatever it is that we desire or want, we must become it. If we want wealth, we must become wealth. And then people say, well, how do you do that? Well, you do that by feeling and acting from right now. Do you know this room alone is probably one of the most wealthiest rooms in all of the quantum field? It's just us individually are worth so much that if we put it all together right now, and which we're doing, oh my God, talk about a kingdom. Yeah.
Good. Know thyself. That's going to be written on the gate of our center when we get to that point. One thing is certain. Whatever our personality may be, this is Ernest Holmes, or whatever it is to become, is wrapped up in the one idea that there is a spirit in man, and God itself is incarnated in every living soul. This spirit within us is the gift of heaven, and without it, we would not be alive. It is a recognition of this spirit within us that is the true starting point for the development of personality. Yeah, we have a thing in our teaching about personality. There's a personality that we have. We all have a personality, right? That's the one based on all our experiences and everything we know or think we know and all of that. But beyond that and behind all that is our true personality, which is boundless and limitless and is everything. And so if we can build our personality from there, we can shift our lives. So It is the recognition of the spirit within us that is the true starting point for the development of our personality, instead of it being based on all what our parents taught us and everything else that, that's all the stuff we're trying to get over, right? We're already over it. Know thyself.
Oh.
Oops, I did something. That's my fault. Go ahead.
Dr. Holmes. The question is whether we are living from this center or whether we are thinking of ourselves detached, separated, divided, alone, and inadequate. And with this acceptance of God, there must come an acceptance of the real self, that self which blossoms in our relationship with others and finds fruit in its own action. What people don't know about Dr. Holmes, I don't think they really were, he's quite a poet once you get past some of the stuff. That when you're reading it, because I didn't feel that way when I first read anything to do with science mind. It did not feel like poetry. Now it feels like poetry, because once we get past that, that's all it is the perceived perception. The separation. Because like I said, there's not a way that we can ever be separated, or we wouldn't even be here right now, where we would be off. As Joe would say, as our emotions become more elevated, we will naturally ascend to a higher level of consciousness, closer to source, and feel more connected to universal intelligence. One thing that I've been noticing is, not that I'm a real big fan of lower levels and higher levels, but there is something to be said about it. Because I can tell when I have reached a frequency on the lower level. You can feel it, and it's a great barometer to use. When I'm in a conversation or something's happening around me, I can feel that I have entered that lower frequency, and yet I'm filled with energy, and I'm thinking, and I can feel it. It's almost like a depletion is starting to, like I had something here, and they unscrewed it, and they went like that, and all of a sudden I can almost feel the depletion, because I'm so wrapped in that lower thought and that lower condition of trying to fix it or whatever it is, or the reactionary. And then when you let it go, you're just like, wow. And then you can feel, and I go, oh, no. I want to feel the higher frequency. What does that mean? Does that mean to go to a better thought? No, it just means go away from that and go for what it is. What do I want to feel right now? I want to feel, I'm still back on my crying at the dog pee-pee, so I'm just going to let you know that. But I just let it, but what it is it's that moment of love for self that's not going to take you through it. Because it's painful to go to the lower frequency instead of elevating, saying, God, this pisses me off, but I'll tell you something. They're doing the best that they know how to do at the time that they're doing it. I'm not always at that level, Elizabeth, with Mr. T. But I'm working on it. But I believe that that's the answer, by the way, Mr. T.
And I also think there's an addition to it. It's also like they're doing the best they can be doing, and I deserve the best.
Right.
I deserve the best. And the more, and with the love and the forgiveness, and then real elevating yourself to knowing that you deserve the best, and all these other experiences can dissipate, and you find yourself living in a totally new experience in life because you feel like you deserve it.
And that doesn't mean, I was thinking of what you said about our neighbor too, but I was thinking that it's not about a person is destroying a country or something, let's just say. But let's just say a country, your household, your whatever, abuse of any kind. It isn't about that we can't love and say, stop hurting me. I'm not going to let you hurt me anymore. I'm going to take action on this. It doesn't mean that, I'm just going to love till I can't. Yeah, that's part of maybe the thing, but it also doesn't mean I'm going to fight you with whatever it is. Sometimes it's just, what's the beautiful, instead of, enough is enough. No. Enough is enough.
Right.
I'm done now. I'm done making excuses for it. I'm done. I need to whatever. And then I say, go into that deep meditation. Because I was crying the other day, just to be quite honest, at the computer, because I had a little snippet of some stuff that was going on in our world, and I just said, I don't want to go there anymore. I'm not ignoring anything, but I do want to know something. What is mine to do? What is mine to understand? How can I love more today when I don't feel like loving? How can I do it? What is mine to do? And if we took time with that, we'd be so busy and so full about what we need to do. And it might just be a dose of compassion. It might just be that. That's all. It might just, and it all comes back to love of self, because I know that when I take that road, that I poison myself. And I get sick, or I get something, I can't speak, I get congested, I get whatever, but I think I'm doing something, so it's okay, right? So this is really a powerful tool to use. Yeah.
Something else I was going to say. I
Pow.
can't remember what it was. Okay.
And sometimes you have to make a movement. That's what I was saying about our neighbor.
What?
We have this building of a house behind us,
It's
a
very
very
loud.
huge house, and it's. And I work here during the day, so it doesn't usually bother me, except on the day off is Monday. But anyway, we were having the auction dinner that was bought, that they got for the
Paulo.
Paulo got it at the auction. But anyway, so at 4:00. It's really lovely. These guys stop, and then life is
Back
good.
to normal.
Right. Except that our wonderful neighbor thought he'd get some more in after they're gone. So they got 3 trucks, and it's and I'm thinking, we're trying to set this party. So I'm in the bathroom, and she's...
No, she goes, do a treatment.
I go, do a treatment. I said, let's do a treatment. But I'm still going, I need to fix this. How am I going to fix this? So she's treating, and I'm so busy fixing it. And I'm going, oh, that was wonderful. Now let's go.
Well, I just treated for peace, because I deserve to have peace, and there is peace. And so then when I got him out of the treatment,
so good.
it was really great. Spirit just said, why don't you just go ask him?
Hello.
So at that moment, there was complete silence. I walked out in the backyard, and I said, hi. I said, we're having company. How much longer are you going to be working? Would it be possible for you to stop by boat? And he goes, oh, sure. Don't worry about it. He said, I'm
done.
so sorry.
I'm done. Oh, I get it.
But
I
what
get
I'm trying
it.
to say is, like, sometimes it's something as easy as, why don't you just ask? Or
So-
whatever. Or something just, like, really simple,
And that on top of that is the thing that says, and I could tell,
Or I don't
I didn't want to do that because, and I'm not afraid of the guy, but I like him, but I could feel that little boy like, don't rock the boat, and so, but what I'm thinking of is in everything, we just have to ask for what we want. But what I keep wanting to do is, I'm going to treat this away so I won't have to confront it. You ever been there? Now, if I do enough of this peace treatment, then it'll all disappear, and then I'll have all quiet, and then I won't have to go over to him and say, man, can we just talk for a second? We got to work this together. And I know that he probably feels bad too, to some degree, because I can feel that from him. So, but I'm saying, oh my God, the treatment is, you need to go take care of it. That's the treatment. The treatment is, oh, I'm in a great sense of peace right now. Peaceful enough to go next door and talk to him. That's what the treatment was. But I wanted the treatment was like, the start, everything would be no more, yeah.
I did it again. All right.
Dr.
Most of the time, personality, how we think, act, and feel, is anchored in the past. Okay, here we go on our road tonight. So to change our personalities, we have to change the emotions that we memorize. We have to move out of the past. This is Joe's whole teaching, that we've memorized the emotions, right? And that because we've memorized the emotions, we've created personalities from those emotions. They become our personalities. And now the only way we're going to get out of there is to move out of the past. And Ernest Holmes wrote, "You must be born again." Well, actually, he wasn't the first to say that, but you must be born of the Spirit. This is the new birth that comes through a new outlook on life, a new way of thinking, a new sense of our relationship to our environment, to the people around us, and to ourselves, to God. So we have to become someone else. We have to be born again. That's what being born again means. Not doesn't mean go get another baptism. It means to be born into a new personality, into spirit, to realize who you are. It's the same exact thing that he's saying. So how do we do it? That is the question. And we're going to be going deeper into that. We've already, what is with me tonight? My finger.
What are you? Oh,
All right.
so when this is the
okay.
teaser. This is the teaser. There'll be a little break here, but when you come back,
Oh, we're going to have a break when we
there's
come
going
back.
to be a little
We're going to do a little
exercise.
creative project. Okay, so take a break for about
And make
5.
sure you have a clipboard because you're going to need it just to work on it. So just make sure you have a clipboard. There are 2 people out in the hall, but now they're back in the room. Hello, Emma.
Is that it?
Isn't it good to know how loved you are?
Do
that
they need scissors
I've
for
got
this
my
to
eye-
open this? Do they need scissors?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're going to give you this clay. It's not sticky. It's
cool
it's
clay.
amazing cool clay, and the kids use it. And right, it's air. It's called air clay.
It's
all
not even
right?
like
It's
Play-Doh.
not going to
It
go on
doesn't
your
get on your-
fingers or do anything like that. So what we want you to do is take 5 minutes and make something out of it. Okay? We don't want you to do anything. It's not like just take whichever color you want.
But everybody, can you hold your package before you open
Yeah,
it?
don't do it until everybody's ready.
We'll let everybody have the 5 minutes.
This is not as bad as the tinfoil exercise inside line 1.
No, nothing. Just create something.
That's
We're gonna all
all.
open
No,
it
hold
together.
on. Look at your clay. Look at your clay. And-
It's non-toxic. The kids
And
use
do you
it.
have something to work on? Do you have a
You have a
board?
clipboard. You're going to need a clipboard. You're not going to be able to do
Clipboard,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
And so this is it. Simple instructions. Let's not make it difficult. Open your clay and create something in 5 minutes. Thank you.
All right.
It is. I'll give you one. We'll give you an extra minute. The kids were the. Oh, no. No. I know. Keep your creations to yourselves. You'll get to share, though, afterwards.
You squish the bag to the bottom. Grab the bottom 2 corners and smush it.
Try not to talk to each other. Even if you're in your character.
Yes, Mom.
Mom and Dad.
I'll give you some music.
Oh, that's good.
Some of my favorite. Peter Cater and Carl Snakai.
Me too.
I guess I shouldn't have unplugged it from the system, but I did. It dries. So start to wrap it up. Somebody get.
Okay, you little creators. Creators. Rita?
How did you feel with this little exercise? Were you able to, the whole point of it was to be able to just go into the creative mode as opposed and to kind of just lose maybe the I love it, to go into the creative mode and let go of like the environment for a moment and just be with the creativity. Did you feel like that happened?
Yes.
Yeah, because remember what he says in the book is like the times when you really are in the zone, like in the field, is those times when you can shut down that other side of your brain and just totally like, I know when I'm writing, that's when it happens to me, like time just passes and I don't like, or when you're painting, if you're an artist or, anything like that. So I just wanted to just have you guys have that experience, and now we'll just go around and ask you what you made.
When it gets to you.
So this is a person who I imagine is me that has one heart, with love on the mind and love in our word or in our thought and love in our hearts.
I love hers. Apparently similar thought form. At one point it became a dog bone then, and but which is when I started giggling at myself. But it was intended to be the one divine heart that when you open it up is all of our hearts.
I'm simply a dolphin. Nothing like that.
Oh, dolphin.
It kind of does. It sort of looks like a seal dolphin.
Mine is a Picasso-esque Jar Jar Sphinx. I was in science fiction mode. I have no idea. This is his cousin. And he's got his tongue out sticking at me.
It started out as a bird's nest, which represented infinite new birth. And then I decided it looked like my fruit bowl at home. So that signifies infinite abundance.
Well, this is a lotus, and it grows out of the muddy waters into a beautiful flower.
Mine is a boat, and I just jumped in the boat, and I just felt so good. I was just floating and feeling that lovely feeling of just floating on the water.
Mine is a smile.
And mine's just a heart, because heart's important.
I mean, that's just, to me, that's all there is.
Mine is a star, and it's got a heart, and it's a starfish because we are starfish, and we are. I mean, this means that God imbues us, animates us.
I kind of did more of a drawing, and it started out as like a nautilus labyrinth. And so bringing me back to my center, and just always need these reminders of who I am. I just need a lot of them. And so this is one way that I remind myself of who I am, is by doing labyrinth and meditation. And then there's rays of light coming out of that, which is also significant, reminding me that I'm a ray of light. And that then there's the ocean and the mountains in there, reminding me that I'm connected to everything.
Beautiful. Show it to the camera. And make sure your starfish is seen by the camera too, and your heart, because And I don't know if we saw yours. No, yours could be seen. It was all right. It was the people on this side. Yay. Beautiful. What? Yes, it gets hard. So if you want to keep it, you can.
It's yours.
It's all yours.
It's all yours.
Or we could display them on Sunday and just say, this is what we do in our class.
No. But so the other thing with creation is that, was there a moment in the very beginning? I had kind of an aha when I was out there. Was there a moment in the beginning, just to show of hands, we don't need to discuss it, any kind of, I don't want to say stress, but any kind of little bit like, oh my God, I got to create, and any question, huh? Right, because that comes up, right? So, yeah, about creation, it's like, oh, am I going to do this right, or is there a right way to do it? And a lot of times that comes up with creativity, right?
But you all look like you were having fun, so I
Once you probably let go and just said, whatever, let's just, yeah.
I
But in the
love it.
beginning, a few of us. Right. Yeah, but see, do you see the comparison to life that is? It's like, because we're all creators of our own reality. And so, but a lot of times we think, but what am I going to do? How am I going to create this? Should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? I don't know. And then sometimes we just keep taking the clay and just,
Sometimes if we just let spirit pour through us, like I know when I'm
Exactly.
writing sometimes, like when I write my blogs, I'm like, who wrote that? So I think it's that thing of letting go to the infinite within us, and
Yeah.
letting it work through us.
And we can
getting
tell
out.
stories. I know that in creation, I've said the same thing, Lord, that I kept saying, I have art scars, I have art scars, I have art scars. I said it so many times that because, somebody when I was in first grade, said that it didn't even look like a horse or whatever, So, I'm going, they made fun of my, stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God, until I can finally go, Patrick, it doesn't matter. Just take the clay and move it. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
so
real quick.
Gotta move on, guys. Go
I
ahead.
mean, I've just come to an epiphany that, I used to do that a lot on me because I was such a perfectionist in terms of, oh my God, can I do? And now it's just like, it doesn't even matter. I know that it will come for whatever it is. I just know that it will. And I just wanted to share that because this is just such a different person.
New body, new mind.
All right,
new-
Patrick.
Yes.
Next. Okay, so we want to go into
So
this.
we were having such a good
All right,
time
we
until
want
now.
to go into
No.
this thing in the chapter about creativity versus stress. All right, creation versus stress. So go
That's
ahead.
when
This
we
is
got
yours.
to, repetitive. Well, I think that picture says just about all that it needs to pretty much say. I know nobody in this room has ever felt that way internally or anything else, but thoughts alone can trigger the human stress response and keep it going. So either we anticipate stress responses, producing experiences, or we recollect them. Recollect them. And our bodies, it's that glasses, Ernest Holmes. And our let's start this again. So either we anticipate stress responses producing experiences, or we recollect them. And our bodies are either existing in the future or in the past, which we've been going over the last 2 weeks. That's what we've been. To our detriment, we turn short-term stressful situations into long-terms. Probably the biggest thing is this one sentence, where it could have been over like that. We let it snowball into something much bigger. If you're putting the bulk of your energy towards some issue in your external environment, there will be little left for your body's internal environment. Yes? Yes?
Well, I mean, wasn't this was kind of sad to me because I realized how many people in the world live in stress and they don't even realize that they're living in stress. I mean, they're constantly living in this idea of trying to control their outer environment, and they've memorized it so bad that they're just walking through life in these stressful things. And like he said it in the chapter about, animals, how they, can, they are predators there, and they get stressed, and it's a good thing. They're moving because they're going to be protecting themselves, but then they go back to like homeostasis or whatever it's called. And then, but us, we just keep living it over and over, and our bodies are not meant to take that. And so it makes sense. It just makes so much sense how it could make us sick. If you're giving all your energy to the outside, to the external environment, it doesn't have
For your internal
yeah,
environment.
you can't like heal. You can't go into that restorative mode that we go to in our sleep. All of that. If you're doing that, I mean, it just makes but it made me sad. It made me sad because I realized that how many people are doing it that don't even know they're doing it. People so close to me.
Like if we're doing it as well.
and if you told them, they would say, "No, stress is
but if
good.
we're-
I need it. I have to, whatever."
But if we're still doing it as ourselves, but then we can, as you and I were talking about on the break, but then you can go, oh, look what I'm doing here. Look what I'm observing. Look what I'm seeing. Oh, and not go there. But there are a lot of people that are literally they're just programmed this way, and then there's a short-term stressful situations into long-term. Yes? Go ahead.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, well, this is my life. I worked in corporate America for 20 years in New York City, and that was my life, and I got sick. And so that's the only reason why I'm here, is because I don't work, and I moved to a calm place. But I know what that feels like.
And also in the stress is sometimes a kind of a badge of greatness. I mean, you're kind of, I'm not finding the word, but it's the identity. I think it's Brene Brown once again. She said, she rode up and down in an elevator with lawyers. Just to hear their conversations. And their conversations were things like, and people were working, they would be like, how late you stay last night? I was here until midnight. And then, how about you? Haven't went home yet. And it's like a badge of like, that's how you're worth, Yeah, I haven't even went home yet. I haven't even taken a shower. That's how much I was working and stressing.
Let's see, what was I going to say? Well, just going back to the clay for a minute, you were talking about feeling stressed out at the moment one is thinking about what they're going to create. But what I noticed when you asked that was I felt stressed out about opening the package. and I just really saw in the last 5 minutes how that thought form, that way of being, expresses itself over and over and over again in my life. It's so subtle, and it's so valuable to just see that now, because that was just a little something of opening a package. But, I'm creating programs and groups of people to, we're doing a whole infrastructure of the organization. And I can't tell you how often I come up with that thought, or that thought takes me over. That channel plays all the time of, oh, I'm not sure you know how to do this. You don't really know how to do this. And I've been listening to it like I haven't ever caught it before as a conversation, as an internal
That is the
thought
first
pattern.
That's the first step, is catching it, right? And
Yeah.
I could have a lot of stress in my life if I allow myself to. But since I've been working with this, and I can tell myself, like I do that morning meditation, and I can envision my day and how I am working it out and I'm getting everything done, and it's easy and it's graceful for me, and I'm just going to go moment by moment by moment. I have all the divine intelligence within me to do it, and I keep working that. I'm changing the program of that same program. I don't know if I can get it done. I don't know if I'm good enough to do this. I don't know if I.
Well, I think Ronnie makes a great point, because
it's been there so long.
If you don't know that it's there,
right.
And so it's like
So that's the
spotting
first
this
step.
one little thing about the stress of opening up, which I've been there myself, going, oh my God, what if I can't open it? And it becomes very important.
Right.
And I thought, oh, but once you recognize it, then you're going, where does this play out? Oh my gosh. So, but you have to know, like I said on Sunday, we have to know we're in the box before we can get out of the box. And sometimes we're just like hitting our heads on the sides of the box and go, I don't understand this. I'm not going anywhere. It's because you're still in the box and you got to pop the lid and get out. So there you go. Yeah.
I just want to say, I think it's probably about a 5-year-old conversation.
A what?
I think it's probably about, like, in my case, it's a very young internal conversation. It's probably about 5 years old.
That's-
And it's running me at 72, or running a good part of what I do.
Right. And now,
Last but not least, before we move on to our.
Well, I spent decades after my near-death experiences being shown how to clear charge out of my body, and I spent decades going in and understanding the thought that I had created and then coming up with the antidote. And recently, I'm just really scanning for, am I in a state of peace to joy right now? And if I start to move out of peace, I'm not trying to figure myself out. I just tell myself this is a biochemical addiction to some past experience. There's some old thought feeling running through my field, and it's not my truth now. And so I'm even letting go of trying to control whatever the hell it is or thinking I need to understand it. I can just shift it. Do you know? Just shift
that's
it.
good.
What we need to understand is that we have to make the decision to do that, and it has to mean more to us than the constant rewinding that tape.
So this is Dr. Joe. He says it's how we become a materialist. We're becoming more grounded materialist than energy, right? When our stress response is triggered, we focus on three things. Our body must be taken care of, the environment, where can I go to escape this threat, time, how much of it do I have to use in order to evade the threat? And put another way, we grow to be materialists, that is, habitually consumed by thoughts and things in the external environment. So everything about us is about what's happening out there and how we're going to fix it. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live like that at all. And that's the part of it that makes me sad. But what I need to do is just change myself and then worry about so much about everybody else, right? So, go ahead.
No, that's
Okay, so the Newtonian model versus the quantum model. We could say that the survival-oriented emotions are lower frequency, we talked about this already, or lower energy emotions. They vibrate at a slower wavelength and therefore ground us into being physical, and we vibrate slower. That makes sense, right? So, and he talks about the Newtonian model, which is the old model of trying to predict the future by some past experience, like it's called cause and effect. This was the cause and this was the effect, and then it's always based on a past experience, and therefore it's going to be that way in the future because that's it. So it's linear, right? Whereas the quantum model defines everything as energy and always changing. So in the quantum model, anything can happen. It's not linear, and there's anything can happen. So so we're causing effect instead of cause and effect. Get the difference? It's a subtle difference,
That's
but
what I
it's a
love
big
about
one.
Joe, causing an effect.
We just say that in the science of mind. We're causing effect. We are the cause of our effect. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Why is it hard to change?
Now this, I
love
think,
this.
is really valuable for those of us that think it's hard to change.
I love this little leaf on here. It says, it's going, I want to hold on forever. And all the rest of the leaves they've already dropped. And it's going, let go, come on. And then I love this one down here, this leaf, anytime now. So we have a sarcastic leaf. Anytime now you can let go. And it's going, no, I don't care. You can cut the whole tree down. I'm not going. I'm not letting go. So to think greater than how we feel or to think outside of the proverbial box becomes just too uncomfortable. The moment we begin to deny ourselves the substance we are addicted to, in this case, the familiar thoughts and feelings associated with our emotional addictions, there are cravings, withdrawal pains, and a host of inner sub-vocalizations urging us not to change. We wouldn't know because we wouldn't know who we are. We were. That's my theory of this, is the only reason we're afraid to let go and to really try something new is because we're afraid we're going to lose our identity. And our identity has been wrapped in this stuff for a long time. But here's the deal. When we're going through the withdrawal pains, what we do is sometimes we retreat immediately instead of just going into pain. Just sitting there going, this change crap is a lot of pain. And be okay with that it's a lot of pain. Instead of trying to go, I want to avoid the pain, and the only way to avoid the pain is to go back. We know that with any addiction. The only way to avoid the pain of a withdrawal is to go back to what it was, anything, medicate, whatever it is. So we have to, but this is why we hold on, is because we think we're going to die. That we're not going to be known anymore of who we are. And what I know for me is that the real answer is that everything we've ever been wanting to become is waiting for us to let go and to start that again. So this is where we don't want to retreat. We just don't want to go, da, 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 and then go, oh my God, I have no idea what's over there. Retreat, get back. No, just stay with that time and that pain.
I think it's also because sometimes when we're trying to change, have you noticed? I know when I came to the science, this was true for me. Things got worse at first.
Oh, yeah.
Like worse things would show up.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, and to drag me back in, and I think that's exactly what this is. Like, okay, all right, it's just getting worse now. Why would I want to change? It's just the same old thing, blah, 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 It's the addiction. I didn't know that at that time. I just kept treating and working on it and working on it and working on it. But it just makes so much sense that there's an addiction that we have to why people repeat relationships that they repeat over and over again, go back to the same job, end up with the same boss, end up with, the same experiences because they're addicted to the emotion. And the emotion is you just want more of it. And it makes you feel real comfortable and uncomfortable, but comfortable, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, so that's, yeah.
and once we know this, wow, it's really powerful to out ourselves, I think.
One of the things I'm finding is I'm literally using, as a therapist, I had a theory back decades ago that people were addicted because it looked to me like I was addicted and others were addicted, and now we have the science that says that's actually true. But what's coming for me with Joe is it's really encouraged me to own in a moment, if the minute I go out of peace, is to say, this is an addiction. Here it is. Whatever it is an addiction. Whatever's taking me out of peace is an addiction. But what comes up next is compassion, because in my past, I had an ideal self, and I whooped the shit out of myself because I thought I should get it, be over it, I should have it already, and that really didn't help me. If I can acknowledge it's an addiction, and some of the addictions, like today, it was 2 hours, it's a lot. It's like if I had an addiction to opioids, I'd have a little more compassion and not think I should just be able to turn the switch off. Do you know what I mean? So seeing it as an addiction and having some gentleness and compassion with myself and talking to my child and saying, okay, we're just addicted to this. It's not the truth, so can we shift it? Has loosened it up a little bit for me.
That's good. Anybody else have any
And we
comments
still
on this?
have, yeah.
Yeah, because we don't want to lose the rest of these.
Sometimes it's the change is a choice. Like I'm going through one that is by choice right now. And yes, as you notice, I was a little subdued, but it's a change that I want to make. And so you go through, it could be painful because, oh my God, it's just a lot of work again. Or it's not really, I know that in the end it's going to be good for me. I know it. But you have to go through what you need to do to make that change. And sometimes it's difficult, but you just, that's when we treat, or that's when we go inward and just know who we are, who I am. And I just know that it's going to happen. I have this vision of what I want, and I'm going to go there. It's just going to take time. So.
And maybe not.
One thing I finally did remember it. It's change isn't because, and I'm so glad it came back. Change isn't because there's something we want to change because there's something wrong with us. It isn't because there's anything wrong with us. The change, at least that I see, is because the behavior and the things that we are doing, if they don't feel good and they feel not right, then that is what is wrong with it. It's not that we're doing anything wrong. It's just that whatever we're doing isn't working for us personally. So we call change, or, the new body, or come back to your new self. And, it's not that we're trying to get rid of us. It's just that we're trying to, at least for me, I'm wanting to be and know the best, highest self that I can possibly live in this experience before I go off into the cosmos. Yes.
So if you
yeah.
read the chapter, you remember the story of Bill. that cured from cancer, melanoma, and how the tumors just fell off. I just love that story. So is it possible that once he unmemorized the emotions of continuous resentment by no longer thinking the thoughts that created the feeling of resentment, and vice versa, his body, as the unconscious mind, would be free from that emotional enslavement in time, would be signaling the genes the same way? So if our thoughts can make us sick, can they make us well? So you've gotten yourself into this rut, whatever that emotional addiction is, and you've become sick like this guy did. And his was, he realized that he spent his whole life in resentment, and he actually brought himself out of that and started thinking from a new place and actually practicing it. I remember he started practicing it with his family and all of that, that he was actually able to free himself from that emotional enslavement and therefore free himself from the cancer, because the cancer couldn't live in his new environment that he was creating.
Which is so cool when you think about it. It
I-
couldn't live there. It had no way to exist because there was no longer a home in consciousness for it. And this is an interesting thing. Beyond all of that, if we believe, and we have to believe it, I mean, or not. If we don't believe it, that's fine too. If we believe that our thoughts can make us sick, if that's an absolute truth, then this has to be true. So that's what I think is so simple. One sentence to contemplate, to work, to meditate upon. If I believe, not that I've named the dis-ease, that isn't, or I fell off the building, I planned that, or none of that, but just to say, wow, I was so stressed that I made myself sick. And I go, oh my God, that's the kind of power I have. I have the power to almost eliminate my entire apparatus. Then I can turn it now and say, no, if I'm powerful enough to do that, watch what I'm going to do on the other side of this. So,
If you haven't read Bill's story, make sure you read it, because it's really inspiring. And you know, that book was written, that's one of Dr. Joe's first books. I think the first one was Evolve the Brain, and the second one was this one. And so now this is happening all the time in these intensives and stuff that he's doing. People are walking away from Parkinson's and all kinds of things because of this method. And it's really quite amazing. I know, right? It's good. It's a new way of being. So this is Dr. Holmes' method. I love this. I have a method which will work for you if you will let it. Just forget all past. Forgive yourself and everyone else for everything that ever happened. Try to feel that everyone is doing about the best he can. Come to realize that while you were born into this world through your parents, this is what I love, you are really a spirit. Yes. So when your parents, okay, they brought you here physically, but you're really a spirit, and you're of heavenly birth, of divine birth. You, why not get back to the true center of your being and think and act and live from the point of view that you are one with everything because you are one with God. So that's his method for releasing, you know, all that negativity from us and all that stuff, making the changes that we want to make in our life. I know, right? So, and then Dr. Joe, this is his method, and I thought it was really powerful for us, and we've already talked about some of these things, that your first thing, he talks about the frontal lobe and how it's the creator and all that, and becoming self-aware is the first step, Ronnie. The purpose of becoming self-aware is that you no longer allow any thought, actions, or emotions you don't want to experience past your awareness. So that's all we do, like in this Science of Mind teaching in classes and stuff like that, is we become self-aware. That's why if you just come on a Sunday, you don't really necessarily get this as you get it like you guys are diving into it. To really examine your mind, examine how you think, examine the experiences that you're having and where they're coming from and all of that. So becoming self-aware, and then disciplining yourself to no longer allow those thoughts or actions or emotions you don't want to experience past your awareness. That's the journey of spiritual practice. Create a new mind to think about new ways of being. To initiate this step of creation, it is always good to move into a state of wonder, contemplation, possibility, reflection, or speculation by asking yourself important questions. And he gives the questions on page 113, which are, does somebody have it open by any chance? Yeah. What are the questions?
What would it be like to ... What is a better way to be? What if I was this person living in this reality? And who in history do I admire, and what were his or her admirable traits?
Yeah, so to move into a state of contemplation. It's good. And then this is the next step that he has. Make thought more real than anything else. As the frontal lobe lowers the volume from other areas of the brain, it shuts out distractions. The inner world of thought becomes as real as the outer world of reality. You're now rewriting the subconscious programs by reconditioning your body to a new mind. So he's saying that your brain doesn't know the difference between a thought that's not an experience. It thinks the experience has happened.
Right.
So this is the important part that we were talking about in our meditations, to be able to move into the state of the experience already happening and being grateful for it.
Right.
And this is what we do in spiritual mind treatment. In our fourth step, we're saying, thank you. It's already happened. I'm grateful. And really feeling it. That's the big thing, feeling it. So again, it's a spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm.
Got to keep doing it, right? Anything else you want to say about this? Okay, because we're close to the end. Okay, then these are the other things he says. Become nobody, no one, no thing. Survival thinking is shut off, and the personality that was addicted to continually signaling the body to produce stress hormones is gone. So that's his big thing, right? Moving into the absolute, we would call it the absolute, the place of infinite creation, the unlimited potential, the field of the one mind where nothing, the perfection that's never been touched by anything, to get to nobody, no one, no thing. And where does the energy go? This part was really interesting to me, because I always think, oh, you're getting rid of the energy. You can't get rid of energy. You only can move it, really, right? Or transform it. So it moves up the body from the lower hormonal centers, sexual, digestive, and adrenal, to the heart area on its way to the brain. And all of a sudden we feel joy, great, expanded. We have moved from being selfish, which is meaning like really self-absorbed with how things are. I'm all thinking about it and that person and that person. I'm selfish, and now we're selfless because we've become one with this energy field, this beautiful, amazing heart space, and feeling the joy. So it's good. We are more wave and less particle. In short, we are demonstrating more of our divine nature. So becoming more wave and less particle, which is a whole scientific thing, which we can't go into tonight. Any questions?
How far are you?
I think we're done. Almost. Oh, and then of
We can
course,
all
let's
use this one right
talk
now.
about this, because he says when you're living in survival, you're trying to control or force an outcome. That's what the ego does. When you're living in the elevated motion of creation, you feel so lifted that you would never try to analyze how or when a chosen destiny will arrive. You trust it will happen because you've already experienced it. How powerful is that? If we really trusted that it's already happened because we've already experienced it on the mental plane, on the emotional, spiritual plane, we wouldn't be worried about how it's going to show up. We would just trust and know that it's going to show up. That's what we have to get to. We have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we can trust the universe, that it has our back, and that all we have to do is just have the intention and have the feeling behind it, and know that it's already happened in the field, because it has, because we've imagined it and we felt it and all of that. And then we can just walk through life, just like he says at the end of the meditation, knowing that it's going to show up in unexpected ways, and we're not going to be stressing about it, because we're just going to go, oh my God, I can't believe it. The tow truck showed up, right? Out of nowhere. And things like that happen. So what's this all about?
And the ego too, for me, my point of view, the ego just hit me. You know, it's not our enemy. The ego, to me, when I've had conversations with that part of myself, it's really there to save you, you know, thinking it's saving you from, you know, if you go out there too far, you're going to get hurt and you're going to do this and I'll die. Basically, the ego says, if you go any further, I'll die, and I have to stop that. But it's not really about another entity attacking us or anything. It's just something that is thinks it needs to protect all the time, and by doing that, it causes a lot of havoc.
Right, and so that's the last slide, but I just want to say how spiritual mind treatment fits in to me, and I think I might have said it in this class or said it somewhere else. I feel like Dr. Joe gives us a formula to enter the field. He gives us a formula, a spiritual practice to enter the field, to enter the absolute. And I feel like once we're there, we have to be able to direct it. Because if we're just there floating around, we have to have that's what spiritual mind treatment does. You're directing the energy in a concrete, feeling, emotional way. You're saying, this is the truth of my being. This is what I am experiencing. This is the reality of my life, blah, 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 whatever. And now I just say, oh, I'm so grateful for it. And I just let it go into universal law, as law, however you want to say it, and it's done. And if you can get to that space of the absolute of the quantum field and do that treatment, how much more powerful is it going to be than if you're trying to do it with your finite mind?
Right.
Or because that's what we do when we practice to be practitioners. We work in that absolute field to be able to get there like in a minute. But I have felt that this is so helpful. It's gonna accelerate things for all of us.
Just one thing, and then
If we'll actually do it and use it, it will accelerate what we're doing. Yeah. Okay.
Since March of this year, I've been dealing with this, quote, criminal case. The state of Hawaii had filed a criminal complaint against me for this very silly auto accident. Yes, I am. And so here it is, like I was putting together, I've always treated, and I always just let go and just put it out in the universe, and I've been treating on my own. And I think for a couple of times I've talked to the practitioners about it. But then, so I was doing the work, putting okay, they have a pre-trial and I have a trial on this silly case. And so I had a meeting with Patrick and Rita, and so I was, putting my things, and I said, "Oh, Patrick, can you come to my trial because I have you can be my character witness." And so they go, "Well, what happened?" And so I go through the whole thing, and this was my way of just, making sure that I get there and just letting go of the universe. But here comes Rita going, "We have to treat on this. This is just not right. This is not your truth." And so we treated for it. So that was Thursday. Friday in the afternoon, I hear from the prosecutor's office, they dismissed the case because there just wasn't any truth to it first place. But that's what I mean by the spiritual treatment, just sort of elevated it and just put it out there, and that's a good example of exactly what you were talking about.
And sometimes it's enough is enough. That was where we were.
Right.
We weren't trying to make it now let's
It
just
was just wrong. It
Yeah,
was wrong.
right.
And I said, this is not Emma's truth. This is just not it. And justice must be served right here and right now. And it was just like that. It was that strong. Because it was wrong. And I said, the truth is revealed right here and
She's
right now.
all excited
I
again
know,
about it.
because I was so mad.
But
I was
there's
mad.
one thing I want to say about treatment and then close this out with the treatment, is that this is treatment, it gets a bad rap because it gets called affirmative prayer. And I really mean that. Not for everybody, but it gets a bad rap when you say affirmative prayer, because people think that when you're sitting there doing this treatment of enough is enough, and it's done in directing the energy on behalf of the person in front of you or ourselves, that we're crossing our fingers and doing a prayer. Like a prayer, I was raised with a lot of prayer, where Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so I just kept saying it, and it didn't mean anything after years. So I'm always sometimes not, I think on Sundays or something that I don't want spiritual mind treatment to become just a random Our Father or a Hail Mary. And it can, if you think affirmative prayer, because it's kind of like, well, that was really a nice treatment, and I hope that it does. But we don't hope anything. There's no hope in a treatment. And if there is, you're doing the wrong one, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
See, to me, what you demonstrated is what Joe Dispenza teaches, is the thought, which is the intention, directs it. But what in this planet, we've been taught to numb our emotions, not express our emotions. It's the size of the emotional wave we send out that affects the demonstration. So you directed a big wave of this is not, and boom.
There you go. Okay, Rita.
So, homework. We're going to do 2 chapters next week. I'm sorry to say it, because we won't finish. We're not going to go into part 3 of this book. We might come back to it at another time, because we're only going to get to chapter 8. So next week we have to do 2 chapters. And then we have to apply Joe's steps for becoming the new you, the ones we just did, these, and report back. Okay? You're going to get these slides. Don't worry. Don't write them down. I'm going to send them to you. And then write a treatment for your intention to release stress and move into creation, because I want to hear where you're at with your treatments. And then in Living the Science of Mind, you only have to reach 410, page 410, but it's a very powerful page 410. Oh, I'll have to tell you. I don't know. Let me look at it in a minute. And then continue your meditation and journal practice and work on your final project. And that's basically it. And so I'm going to do a treatment, and then if anybody has any questions after that, they can ask us. And then those that want to leave can leave. So I'm just right here and right now. I recognize and know without a shadow of a doubt that there is only one thing going on at all times, and that is the power and the presence of the divine, of the source of all, of the source of allness, of that one infinite intelligence, that divine intelligence that moves and lives and breathes through each and every one of us, breathes through me, is the very breath that I breathe, is breathing me right here and right now, and breathing each and every one of us right here and right now. It is everything that we are, and it is limitless. It is filled with unlimited possibilities in every single solitary moment. And so I know that we have experienced that energy tonight as we've excitedly discussed all these different amazing points that we have made tonight together as one. And so what I know is that we are able right here and right now, because of we are this infinite intelligence, this infinite source of all, to take everything that we've gathered tonight and to use it in our lives in the most effective, perfect, individualized way for each and every one of us. And I know that our lives are unfolding perfectly because of this, and that we are expanding more and more each and every day, and that we are garnering this power and using it in spectacular ways in our lives and to assist this planet as it lifts itself in this shift of consciousness that I know is happening. So I am so grateful for the work of Dr. Holmes, of Dr. Dispenza, and of all of us as these mystics that we are, knowing that we are adding so much to this wonderful thing called life, the very essence of who we are, just by being ourselves and tapping into our power and using it. So I am so grateful for tonight and all that has come forth. And I'm so grateful for all the manifestations that follow moment by moment by moment for each and every one of us as we do this work. And with this gratitude in my heart, I just simply release my word. I let it go with peace and love as law into law as we affirm together. And so it is.